your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson, and I am back with a new episode of Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. And tonight we are going to crime and mystery, the intriguing fiction. I'm looking forward to it. So I have on the line with me right now Mr. J.A. Harris, and he is a mystery novelist. And to me, that's some of the best fiction. I love trying to guess what's going to happen. And when you can write a story and really I think this is one of the main ones where you really have to put the reader into the story because they have to feel what the protagonist is feeling. They have to be able to be invested in the story because that's the way that they're going to try to guess what happens at the end. So I absolutely love this writing. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Jay. Tell us all about you and why you decided to get into mystery fiction.
Well, I'm really classified as a multi-genre fiction writer. Well, to tell you a little bit about me, I was born in Baton Rouge.
And, yes, Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana. I'm a homegirl right there. And was born in Baton Rouge, born an inner city kid, but I spent a lot of time out in the country. Two loving parents, host of loving relatives. Went to a few different universities, two HBCUs, but I ended up finishing at LSU with a degree in civil engineering. And before that, I was just, the typical student. I was pretty good in academics, and I only had at that time one creative writing class in school, and but I didn't pick it up again until 30 or so years later, in my late 40s, and when I was just sitting around wondering what I was going to take on next in life, and I just realized it was one of those creative outlets that I had been ignoring for too long. So now it's been what I kind of call a joyful addiction. But the mystery writing part, and even though I write multi-genre fiction, all of it has a little bit of mystery in it. This particular one, it's a combination. It's a mix between mystery and fantasy. It's a story about a brother. Sorry about that. A brother who's been turned into a vampire, actually.
Ooh, scary.
Yeah, a little bit of scariness to it. And it's about him being turned into a vampire and the dark times he goes through while trying to hang on to every shred of his humanity. What makes it different is it's in an alternate reality where humans and vampires now coexist, and it gives him the opportunity to become a detective, which is something he has a knack for. He always had a knack for it. And now he just, everything is accentuated and highlighted, with his new skills. So he focuses on cases that involves mostly vampires. So it's more than your typical horror story. Somebody kind of related it to Criminal Minds. It's Criminal Minds for vampires. And so, but I see it kind of as a heroic tale with mystery, action, a little bit of romance in it too. Got a little touch of everything. But being at it.
No, I was just going to ask, where do you find your ideas, or how do you get your ideas?
Well, this one, this was a weird one because I had no real plans on writing a vampire story at all. It really, I guess, since I write things with such a genre mix to them, I was kind of challenged by a professional in the industry who said, hey, why don't you try just, a genre fiction, one genre. I said, okay, well, come up with was this mix. I said, yeah.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit, Jay.
Novel, a vampire novel. I had never really read a vampire novel itself. I enjoy watching it on television, but it was just kind of a challenge. And then I got into it, and I said, wow, this is, I ended up loving it. So I can see maybe, two or so more spinoffs coming from this one. So that's kind of how it all got kicked off. But I can just write about anything. If it comes to mind, I just put together an outline and I just take it from there.
Okay, I see you. So I know you touched on it a little earlier, but writing just kind of came naturally to you. It was just something that you found that you loved.
Yeah. Like I said, back when I was a teenager, I had this one class where, I received an honor for this mysterious paranormal short story I wrote. I must have been about 15 or 16. And back then I was wrapped up into so many things. Mostly back then it was sports. And so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think much about it. I didn't even tell many people about it. I enjoyed doing it, but I enjoyed so many other things. And like I said, later in life, when I came back to thinking about, okay, what do I really love? Because, I'd read some things like by Steve Harvey, the Think Like a Success and all that. And, he
Mm-hmm.
focused on, what do you really love? And I said, hey, I really love writing, and I didn't think about it until then. And that's when I thought back to that moment, and I could tell what kind of stories I loved.
Right.
So I went back to that moment. I said, hey, I think I might be able to do this. So I gave it a shot and ended up loving it. Won a few awards. Went to a few writers' conferences, and I went in there with all these people who had been writing for like 20 to 50 years.
Mm.
And at that point, I had only been writing for maybe 3 or 4. And I went in there and took home some awards, and they're just looking at me funny, like, who is
I
this guy?
was about to say that walking into that room, did you kind of feel a little bit of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, always. Most rooms I walk into, I'm not, how did I get here? But no, it was just amazing to see, how long they'd been at it, and it was people from all different age groups, from college to 90 something years old, and they had just felt like they'd been writing for centuries. And I'm like, I'm just a guy with some crazy stories running around in my mind. At the time, I wasn't even that great of a writer, I don't think, as far as editorially speaking. I went on to take some classes after that, but before that, I was just like you said, I walked into that room. I said, this is a joke. I got to be, it is an imposter syndrome here, but it was just, once I did one a few, and I was like, wow, then I really started loving it, getting into it,
Mm.
and gave me a little confidence and a little faith to keep going. So along the way, there's always been something, some little piece of faith or some little sign that say, hey, keep going, no matter how many challenges you may face.
Right. And
Yeah,
this author life is not easy, and it is filled with challenges. I mean, and there probably are
you
times when
know it.
you question yourself, why am I doing this? Can I spend my time other places? But what is it that keeps you going?
Well, it's like I said, when you figure out what it is you love to do, it it becomes, basically, you'll do it for free. And
Yes.
that's what we end up doing as writers. And this, most we do it for free, and I'd write even if I wasn't trying to get paid for it. I'd love to make a living off it. I'd love to make a better living off of it, but so I can keep on going. But I would still do it one way or not, that I've gotten into it, and it's just the control of the narrative and the creative aspects of it. And that's why I chose fiction too, because it's just the creativeness that's involved that just keeps you going.
Right.
It's like I said, it's a joyful addiction.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I think
yeah,
that's the reason why I enjoy writing fiction. I've always lived in that what if world. I write fiction often because I'll be thinking of over something that I might have experienced or something that I've seen, and I'll ask myself, what if? What
yeah,
if somebody responded differently? Or what if this would have happened? And that's kind of where I get my story ideas.
yeah. I listen to like screenwriters who give interviews, and that's what they say. They'll take a real life situation and say, what if, and this, what if this, if it, if it had gone the other way, what would have
Yes.
happened? And that sparks the creativity. And yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, my stories kind of twist and turn a lot like yours. I read Trust, and I said, yeah, I like this kind of story. I like something that twists, and have a twist at the end.
Yeah, I think that was the first time that I tried my hand at somewhat of mystery story. I wanted
Mhm,
people to just keep guessing until the very end. And there's a lot of tricks to that, because
mhm.
you have to be able to drop just enough crumbs throughout your story without giving away the plot. And then at
Right.
the same time, you don't want the plot to seem unrealistic or crazy when you get to the end. Everything needs to make sense once you finally reveal that plot twist.
Yeah, yeah, and it gets, and whenever somebody asks me, okay, describe your book, and I always, it's a sticking point for me. It's like I don't want to give it too much away.
Yeah.
You know? Even sitting here today, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to get too far into it, but I can at sometimes ramble and ramble if if I'm sitting there, you got me sitting there talking about it, but I try to pull back. It's hard to pull back on mystery, but yeah, it is and this tale. Um, like I think I mentioned to you, it's not just a dude book, it's just like
I was just going to say that. I laughed so hard when you said that. This is not just a dude book.
yeah, yeah. Some people they were like some women are many women have read this and enjoyed it, but some will say like, well, they'll give it to their significant other first, their husband first, or I think you gave it to your stepson, or here, take a look at this. It's a dude book now. I'll say, no, no, it's not just a
I
dude book.
gave it to him because he said that he enjoys reading,
Uh-huh.
and I thought that I didn't think he wanted to read like a love story or anything like that. So I gave him a book with a storyline that I thought that he would enjoy, and it just happened to be your book. I'm like, I think you'll like this one because I asked him. I said, "What types of books do you like?" And he was like, "I really like mysteries, and I like this, I like that." I was like, "Here, well, try this book." I'm not, he had said I like romance stories. I would have given him a romance novel, but he said he likes mystery, so I gave him a mystery book.
And did he enjoy it?
He did. He said it was really good.
Oh yeah, you said he read it in about one day or so, huh?
Yeah, I think like 2 days. He got through it really quickly.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm glad he enjoyed it. But yeah, so if I'm saying anybody, just give it a shot. It may start off like a dude book, but give it a shot, give it a chance. And being
Well,
that it's a
he doesn't
it's
want
a
to read what we call chick lit. A chick
uh,
lit.
what's
Sometimes they
that?
I said they don't always want to read what we call chick lit. Sometimes they just want to read a good story.
Oh,
And
chick lit, right?
to read a romance novel. So, but they want a story that's going to keep them involved. And
Hmm.
mystery fiction is one of those stories that people can really get involved in, and they want to keep reading because they want to see what's going to happen next. I
Yeah.
think that's the most intriguing thing about mystery fiction.
Hmm. And being that this is blended with a vampire tale, I mean, it spans several decades. It goes from slavery to civil rights to the 70s, a little bit of Vietnam and so on. So, yeah, I think, that I really enjoyed, dipping into every piece I can, every piece of fiction I can. So,
Yeah.
and it just kind of happens naturally, really. So it is,
Well,
I really enjoy it.
well, what's next for you, Jay?
What's next? I'm gonna, most of my stories, or at least the ones that are going to be coming up, a lot of them I've already like at least written the first draft, but they're going to be more heroic tales. It's always a hero involved, no matter whether it's mystery or sci-fi, fantasy, and all that's going to be coming up. But there's going to be some hero that's always wrestling with some aspect of their own humanity. I'm going to focus on heroines too. I think my
Yes.
next one coming out is going to be a woman as a hero, as a protagonist, and I'm going to do a lot more of those. I can't wait. I can't really say much about it yet, but I can't wait till that one comes
You don't
out.
want to give away the surprise.
Right. I don't want to give away the surprise, but it's going to be I can say it's going to be a little science fiction to it. But
Okay, do you have an idea of when that's going to hit the shelves?
I don't have an idea yet. They hopefully a publisher might want to take part in it that I've been looking forward to. I want to try that out too because this first one it was self-published. So, but
Well, there's no shame in self-publishing. I mean,
no.
coming from someone who's gone from so-called vanity presses to being self-published, to actually having a traditional publisher, to going back to being self-published. I mean, I've been in this world through a number of different lenses, and there's no shame in self-publishing. All I say is, if you're going to self-publish, you want to make sure that your book can stand up to the traditional published books. You don't want your book
Right.
to look homemade. You don't want it to look thrown together. It should still be a professional product, no matter who published it. And if you're doing that, you're all good.
Right. It still should be publication ready
Absolutely.
at all times, because a lot of the principles that the publisher used, it all relates to communicating with the reader.
Yes.
And yeah, so no matter whether you're doing it through a major publisher or self-publishing, like you're saying, we have to, we're writing for the reader, and we have to, keep them involved. That's what I consider part of my job, trying to get the reader from from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the challenge. And I wouldn't have even embarked upon it if I didn't want to take on that challenge. So
that's what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm feeling about that.
No,
Yeah.
I think I tell people all the time, 'cause people ask me, should I do self-publishing or should I do traditional publishing? I mean, I've even had people say, should I go Amazon or should I do Ingram Spark? And I always tell people, you have to look at what it is that you can do. For me, Amazon works for me because I don't have time to go to the post office every day to mail out books. I just don't have that type of time. I still have a full-time job, and I have to put my all into my full-time job. So going to the post office every day, or checking my notifications to see if I had any book sales that day, I don't have time to do it. So for me, it's much easier to just sell my books through Amazon. I'm on my website. I have a link that goes right to my Amazon pages, but that works for me. If I know another author, he doesn't want to spend all that money with Amazon. He doesn't want to pay Amazon their royalties. So he would rather people order the books directly from him, and he won't mail the books. That works for him. For me, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
No matter how much I would like to.
Well, and put it all in perspective for people who think that this all sounds difficult. I think back to Oscar Micheaux. He was a filmmaker. He's a historic filmmaker. But before that, he was actually a novelist. And you think about the times when Oscar Micheaux was writing novels, he went door to door to try to sell his novels. So if you think what we have is difficult, you look back on times like those, and it makes you feel that it's all doable.
Right.
Even if we had to go to old school tactics, it's all there laid out. There is a game plan that, even though it's in modern times now, it was worse at one point. So we have it easy compared to that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
take advantage of your technology.
Take advantage of the technology. That's right. But yeah, and like I was saying, I have several more that's waiting. I just can't wait to get them out. But this the case of the Night Detective, you might see me publicizing it quite a bit. I think in 2022 it hit like the top 10 in its category a number of times in 2022. Yeah, I haven't been marketing that much yet in so much in 2023 yet, because I've been working on some other stuff. But yeah, that was
show us the cover. Do you have the book with you?
Yeah. Let's see if you can see it.
Yep, there it is.
Yep, there it is. And there it is in an Amazon 2022 top 10 seller in African American horror. Yeah, so yeah, if anybody can follow me, I'm on Facebook at J.A. Harris, novelist. Then you can keep up with all my updates. I'll that's where I normally post things first.
Well, I did put your website in the chat for anybody who wants to follow along and support your books.
Mm-hmm. And as far as I guess appearances and all that, I'm working on some getting out there to bookstores for some signings and some promotions coming up soon, hopefully before the end of this summer. So I was working on mostly online marketing for a while, but now it's time to start moving out there, hitting the streets, you know. So that's and I keep people posted on like on my Facebook page. That's where you'll see notifications on where I'll be appearing next. So yeah.
Okay. So like I said, I did put your website in the chat. And your web, if people go to your website, they can also find your social media handles. So guys, make sure that you support Mr. J.A. Harris. Thank you for the support that you've given him in 2022, because you made him an Amazon bestseller, which is something that a lot of people are striving for. So that's an amazing accomplishment, and I don't blame you for putting it on the cover at all.
Top 10, yeah, top 10. It's not a bestseller yet, but
Well, it's in the top 10. That's still good.
we can do better.
Always do better. Do not rest on your laurels. No, but you are doing well. You are doing very well. And the good part is that you live in Baton Rouge, and there is a huge writers community that's still continuing to grow in the Baton Rouge area.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're connecting with them out there.
Yeah, and the book is actually, the setting is in Louisiana. It takes place between Baton Rouge, New Orleans, a little bit of Lafayette. It gave me the opportunity to highlight some places that are in the South Louisiana that, hopefully the world is going to see a little more of. And so, and that's New Orleans is your hometown, right?
Yes, New Orleans is my hometown. I do try to make it to Baton Rouge every once in a while. I think Baton Rouge has had a little bit of an explosion. It's it's kind of grown a lot, and like I said, the writers community has grown a lot. I've actually gone out there a couple of times for author events because it's growing out there. It's not just about New Orleans anymore. So. Right. Boosie says that he's the one who put Baton Rouge on the map, though.
Who's that?
Boosie, the rapper.
Yeah, Lil Boosie.
Yeah.
Right.
He said nobody was talking about Baton Rouge until he came along.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Believe it. But, yeah, they had a book festival out there, I think by the river. Was it last year sometime?
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. I think that might be an annual thing.
Yeah, I know there was also, I don't know if they still do it, but there was a book festival, I believe was it on Southern's campus? Yeah, I believe on Southern University's campus. There was a book festival. And then I went to a book event at one of the big libraries out there that I can't remember, but it was a gorgeous library, the place at the college campus.
And when was this? When was this?
Oh, that was actually a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see you get out there quite a bit.
Yeah, I told you I try to make it to Baton Rouge now.
I feel so bad. I haven't been in New Orleans in a while, but I can't wait to get back just to visit. But because I lived there for a while, I used to work there about 7 or 8 years.
Oh, okay.
And I got family down there, so I was always traveling down there throughout the year. So I mean, I got relatives down there, so
gotcha.
I'm looking forward to getting back. But yeah, so. That the story is focused on in mostly in South Louisiana, and I think and I also have a website, jaysbooksite.com.
Yes.
And you might catch, every now and then I might slip something extra on that site, an extra story or something. So
I noticed that.
That one I've been mostly marketing this one, but there are going to be some other ones that pop up there. There's another one sitting out there that some other genres that you might want to take a look at.
Okay. So like I said, you have the next book coming up, but you're not sure when it's going to be yet. So right now, everybody just go and get The Case of the Night Detective. It is on Amazon. You can also go to Jay's book site to grab the book. Are they able to get an autographed copy if they go to your website?
Yeah, they can order an autographed copy. There's a link on there to do that, and that option is only available on that website, on my personal website, jaysbooksite.com.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
And
So
that's the incentive for going directly to your site instead of going to Amazon.
right. Prices may vary, but got to let you know that up front. But it's also at barnesandnoble.com that I was telling some people, if you're not if you're not internet savvy, or if you don't have an Amazon account, you can actually call any Barnes and Noble and have them order it for you.
Okay.
Just pay them over the phone, and they'll ship it wherever you want it sent. So let them do all the heavy lifting. So that's an advantage of having it there.
And nothing wrong with that. Do what you
What's that?
So you have to do what you have to do. Hit it from every angle.
Right. Got to do what you got to do.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me. I've been really looking forward to this interview ever since I met you at the National Black Book Festival. I don't know if that was last year or the year before, but we met out there, and we've just been in touch ever since. So I appreciated that, and I was looking forward to having you on the show. So I'm glad we're finally able to make that happen.
It's a great festival. I enjoyed being there, enjoyed meeting you, and happy you invited me to your show. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much. Are you going to be back in Houston this year?
Yeah, I actually, that's another thing I forgot to mention. I actually work in Houston, so I will be here, and I will be at the festival again.
Okay, well, I will see you there because I'll be there too.
We got to do lunch. You mentioned like those turkey legs, the turkey leg hut.
I haven't been to the turkey leg hut yet. I want to go, but it's so far away from where we do the event. And last time I didn't have my own car, but I'm gonna have to make sure I get to the turkey leg hut next time I go to Houston. I haven't tried it. Good.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight, Jay. Everybody, make sure you guys get out and go to Jay Harris' book site, correct?
Jay's book site.
Yeah, Jay's book site, and pick up a copy of this book. It is a really good book. It has everything that you're looking for: crime, it has mystery, it has vampires, it has intrigue, it has New Orleans in it.
It got New Orleans in it.
You guys really need to pick up a copy of this book. So thanks once again, Jay. You have a wonderful evening, and I will see you in Houston in a few months.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me on.
No problem. Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so that was author J.A. Harris, and now I am going to bring on Mr. Antwan Floyd Sr. Hello there.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Well, thank you for joining me tonight.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Now, I think you accepted my invitation on Instagram, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Yeah. Thank you for extending it.
Oh, no problem whatsoever. Now, you have a whole crime fiction series featuring a detective named Black Love.
Correct.
Now, how you get that name? Why that man named Black Love?
Okay, so I explained I explained it in the first book or the second, I can't remember. But my opinion, I felt like we have a lack of strong representation by Black men. So I want to come up with a protagonist in my books that embodied that, and I thought that would be a great name for a character, Black Love.
Now, is that his actual nickname or is that his name?
That's his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about the series. What is he solving murder mysteries? Is he solving robberies? What type of mysteries is he solving?
Okay, so the way the series kicked off, he was a district attorney from
Okay.
Chicago, and his ex fiance in a small town in Illinois called Danville gets assaulted by the police. So he goes in, and he thought he was gonna hold more weight than he actually did. So
Mhm.
and when he found out that he didn't, he started doing it on his own, and that's how the whole detective part came into play. So that was one case. Then another case he had. There's different cases every book. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right now I'm like 5 books in. So he had one case where he was looking for missing girls and dealing with a cannibal. He had another case where he was he went out to Lagos, Nigeria, looking
Mm.
for another missing girl. It's just different cases every book.
So where do you find these ideas? I mean, first of all, I think it's really interesting, and that you have him going to different places. It's not like he's solving crimes in one neighborhood the entire time. You have him actually traveling, which is cool. But what gave you these different ideas?
I don't know. Ideas just pop in my head. Like I hear different conversations, people talking, and just one little small thing. It's like pulling a thread. I hear one person say something, or I'm in a conversation with somebody, and they'll say something, and they'll spark an idea, and then that idea build on and build on and build on. And that's just how my ideas come from my stories.
Okay, and now you have quite a few books because it's not just the Black Love series. So how
Yes,
many books do you have altogether?
I have, as far as books and short stories, I
Mm-hmm.
have 18.
Well, you've been a busy man.
Yeah, I've been writing.
How long have you been writing?
I've been writing since 2009.
2009. And so is writing the only thing you do, or do you have a day job as well?
I have a day job as well.
So
Yeah.
you just stay busy. So how do you keep writing your priority? Because sometimes I work a day job as well, and sometimes you come home from work, or if you're teleworking, when you close that computer, you're tired. So what is
Mhm.
it that motivates you to say, okay, work is over with, but I have to write?
It's a combination of things, but one of them is, so I still do watch a lot of YouTube videos and read books about entrepreneurship, and all of them, not all of them, but just about all of them. I'm overgeneralizing, but they all say if you're going to give someone else 8 hours of your day, you should be able to give 8 hours to yourself. Now, I use that in philosophy. I use that philosophy in theory, but sometimes, like you said, you're just too tired to give 8 hours after you've already done 8 hours. You're drained,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to do something where you have to be creative. Because I don't know about everybody else, but for myself, a lot of my creative thoughts come when I first wake up in the morning. So if I have to wait all day to get to it, it's not the
Yeah.
same.
Oh,
So
I started waking up earlier for that very thing, because I used to wake up in just enough time for me to get freshened up and then log into work. But then by the time I'm done with work, and then if it's a podcast night, by the time I get to doing something that I want to do, even if it's just reading, I'm tired. So what
mhm.
I started doing is actually waking up about 5 or 6 in the morning, because then I can just do me for a couple hours before it's time to log into work.
I do that as well. I can't help it. I just wake up early, even though my day is off. I wake up around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would do that. But I added more on because then I started. I wake up that early, and I used to write, but now I wake up that early and I try to work out because I'm getting older. But now I've taken away from the writing part once again. So basically, to answer your question, it took a long way to get there. I just do a little bit every day
Yeah.
until it's done. You know, that's basically what I do. If I write 1 page, if I write 3 pages, if I write 5 pages, it doesn't matter. I just write a little bit until it's done. I don't focus on the end. I just take it one step at a time.
You make it a journey.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that, because often I think and you've been writing for a while, so I don't put you into this category, but a lot of times with newer authors, they want to hurry up and finish the book so they can hurry up and get it out there, so they can hurry up and make some money from it. And I actually went live yesterday on Facebook, and I said, we as consumers, if we get something that we don't feel that people put their time and love in, and if it's half done, we get upset. So why don't we as writers give that same energy or that same respect to the people who are reading our books? And if we're rushing through the book, we're trying to hurry up and get it done, and we don't care if it's a little bit messed up, we're disrespecting the people who we're wanting to spend their money to buy our books, to read our stories.
That you're absolutely correct. You're being disrespectful of not only them taking the time to spend their money, but to take time to read your work. Because I've read books that I did not like. Like, I thought they were trash. And I was upset because I'm like, oh my God, that's my life. Time of my life. I can never get that back. You can't. You can never get that time back.
You are so right. You are so right.
So authors need to think that way when they release stuff. Like, you have to be respectful of people's time, because they are taking it. They could be reading somebody else's work.
Right. And especially when you go to a book fair, like I was just on with Jay a little earlier, and we were talking about the National Black Book Festival. There are so many authors at that event. And when readers walk in, they have a choice of any author that they want to support. And they chose you to support. Show them why. Give them a reason to say, I am so glad I chose to buy this book. Over all of the 49 other authors who were there, I chose this specific author, this specific book. You want them to be happy they did that.
Because readers are faithful.
Yes.
Like, readers are really faithful. Like, you could write, if you get them hooked, it's a good chance you have them hooked for life. Because you can write a book that they really love. And I'm not saying that you should do this, but if you buy a book that if you write a book that they really love, and then the rest of your books are not very good, they're gonna keep buying them over and over again. Because they trying to, I think of them like drug addicts. They still trying to chase that high from that first book.
Because they know that you have it in you. They say, okay, maybe this was just a one-off. So I'm gonna read the next one. The next one will probably be good. Everybody's not gonna like every book. I mean, my favorite author was Eric Jerome Dickey.
Mine too.
Yeah, I can't say that every last book that he wrote was my favorite, but I always saw the progression. If you look at his earlier work compared to his latest work, you can see that he had actually grown as an author. And that's something that I've always wanted to do. With every book that I write, I want it to be a little bit better than the last book.
Yeah, that's how I am. Yes, Eric Jerome Dickey is one of my favorites, and I agree with everything you just said, because I love his books later in life. His earlier books, they're just okay to me. I think they lean heavy. I think it also has to do with the times. So I give him credit for that, because when he wrote those earlier books, he was leaning heavier towards his female demographic.
Yeah.
All of those books kind of put me in the same vein of like the How Stella Got Her Groove Back type books.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I can agree with you there. So do you have a book that you're working on now?
Yes. I am actually working on book number 6 in the Black Love Detective series.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called The 13th Prospect, Stranded on Stony Island. Black Love Detective Series Book 6. And it's the reason why I went by that title is Stranded on Stony Island. people who don't know, it sounds like an island or whatever. But if you're from Chicago, that's actually a street in Chicago called Stony Island.
Okay.
So I just
Are you
like not
from
originally, yes,
Okay.
yes. I still have family there, like my mom still live there, and aunties and uncles and stuff. So yeah, his my character is from Chicago, so
Right.
a lot of the stories take place there.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was doing my research on you, and I noticed that your character was in Chicago. That's why I was kind of surprised when you talked earlier about your character going to different places to solve crimes, because I thought at first he was just solving crimes around Chicago.
I like to keep things kind of like, I don't know. In my mind, I would imagine that sometimes when you're a detective, especially if you work for yourself, and depending on the type of clients you pick up, your cases are going to lead you outside of your state.
Right.
You know, like I get it when, and I do this as well, when authors who write these type of books use their city as a, they use their city as a character,
Yeah.
but I think it's unrealistic to never have that character ever leave that city. Even if they just go to connecting cities, like they're gonna
Mhm.
have to leave sometime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what got you into writing? Why did you develop a love for writing?
Okay, so excuse me. When I was fresh out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do in life, and I jumped from thing to thing. Like I went to school for culinary arts, went to school for directing, bartending. I tried to be I did some screenwriting, just bunch of odd jobs, hustle, whatever. So one day I was reading this book by Quan
Yeah.
called Hoodlum.
Yep.
And at that time of my life, I wasn't reading those type of books. I was reading biographies, stuff about the Black Panthers and a whole bunch of different stuff that was not
And a
fiction. Yes. And when I discovered that book, I was surprised because I had read those books when I was in high school, but it was more along the lines like Donald Goins or Iceberg Slim. So I didn't even
Mhm.
know they were still writing books like that. So after I read it, something just sparked like, oh, I can try this. Let me try this. So I did research on how to self-publish versus traditional publishing, and I didn't like the idea of having to wait for somebody else to decide if they wanted to put me on or not. So I went
Mm.
the self-publishing route. And my first books, I wrote more along the lines of the urban fiction genre, but I was new to the Kindle and getting books printed and all that. And I used to go to some book festivals and stuff. And I learned that the book back then, I felt like it was just the urban fiction genre that was oversaturated. But now I feel like the book publishing world as a whole is very oversaturated. But that was my reason for switching genres back then, switching
I,
from
I'll tell you this. That yes, there are a lot of authors out there, and the self-publishing route has become more and more popular.
yes,
However, there are very few readers in this world who will only read one book and never read another one.
that's true.
So just because they bought your book today doesn't mean that they won't buy my book tomorrow. But whatever it is, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We've got to put our best forward.
Yes, yes. And I equate what you're saying to, like I said, I like to read a lot of different stuff. So I read something that was interesting. You know how you just said, just because they read my book, that doesn't mean they won't read yours. So
Hmm.
I read something that was talking about, for some reason, I think I looked up how do people decide where they're going to open businesses and stuff like that. And what I read was they said, you ever pay attention to the geography of the way restaurants are set up? Like you can have a Burger King, then right across the street is McDonald's, then right down the street is Culver's. And then right down the street from there is Checkers or White Castles. They're all burger places. But it's done that way on purpose. Because they said if I don't remember the exact numbers, but basically if I'm one block away and If it's a burger place 1 block away and nothing else is there, I would lose money if I didn't open up right across the street versus trying to go 4, 5, 6 blocks away. Because the way people minds work is they like everything right by each other.
Right.
So that's why they do that when they open all these restaurants by one another, to drive all the customers into the center.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I look at authors. I look at it like it's good to have other people, especially if you're around people who in the same genre as yours. Because like you said, when people not necessarily get tired of it, but say their favorite author hasn't dropped a new book yet. So they're
Right.
going to go back to that same genre and you're right there to pick up some of their customers.
Yep, that's true. And but you're absolutely right in that if somebody, if let's say my favorite author hasn't written in a while, like, okay, I need something else to read. And you see it now on Facebook. Somebody will say, does anybody have a good book I need to read now? What's the next book I need to read?
Yeah.
Or sometimes I like to post, because I do a lot of audiobooks, because I like to do audiobooks while I'm driving or when I'm taking my power walks. So I'll listen to a book instead of listening to music. So I like to post what book I'm listening to. And I always have people say, oh, is that book good? I think I'm going to try it. And I picked up some books because somebody else said that book was good. So you just never know. But you know what will happen if you just write a book any old kind of way, just throw it together. They're going to tell people about that book too.
Yes. Yes. And I do that as well. Like, I tell people if something I don't like, I let it be known.
Yeah. See, I try not to do that because I know that, this, even though it's a big industry, it's a small industry at the same time. And I don't want to say anything bad about another author. But just sometimes the book is just so frustrating. I might say, I just read this book. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is, but I'll just talk about everything that frustrated me about it. And
I don't know. I think I look at it like balance. Like, I will still give my honest opinion about a book, and it might not be very flattering, but to balance that out, I will say, whenever I go to another state, I always find the Black-owned bookstores.
Yes.
And I buy a lot of books at that store. Or if I'm at a book festival, or somebody had a book fair or a book signing, I buy books. And I was with somebody before, and she was like, "Why are you buying that book?" Because the book didn't look good at all. You've been around for a while, so a lot of people don't do it correctly. Like, it doesn't look professional. The cover doesn't look appealing. Nothing about it looks good. And then they charge a lot of money, which I get it, because
they'll charge $25 for a book that's no wider than this phone.
Yes. And I get it, because more than likely they don't know any better, so they paid a lot for printing.
Right.
So they're trying to make their money back. So I told her, I'm probably never going to read this book, but I will give them the $25 for it, because I might be the reason why they don't quit. Because I've been to these things before where you can stand there for all day and you might not sell anything.
Yeah.
I said they might have came from out of town. They had to pay for their hotel. They had to pay for the books. They had to pay for their flight. They had to pay for the rental car. They had to pay to eat while they in town. I said that might be the only $25 they make all day. So that's my part of giving back. Like, I might. That's my balance.
Nice. I like that. It's fun.
But if I do read it and you get a bad review, at least you got my $25.
Well, I will say this. If you guys are reading books, please leave a review. Let the author know how you felt. I usually get pretty good reviews on my books, but somebody gave me a 2-star, but they didn't tell me why, and that made me even more mad. I'm like, I feel like you just did that to be petty.
Yes, I've had some reviews like that and it was so funny to me, and I guess I am petty because I had to go back. So it was an exchange review, and the lady I exchanged with did my review. She gave me 5 stars.
Okay.
Then she gave this big long review.
Oh no.
And I was fine with that, even if it was her honest opinion.
Yeah.
So she was like, because in one of my books, the Black Love book, he called his sisters to come and help, and his sister is into the streets. So she bring her crew, and they come clean up a body and this and that. And the lady, like, I couldn't suspend my belief that he has a cleanup crew on call. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And it was some more stuff in there, but it's just that part right there that stuck with me. And it wasn't the fact that she said it, it was because the type of books that she wrote.
Right.
So because when I did hers, she actually wrote a book about a psychic that could communicate with dogs. Like the dog spoke to her.
Mm-hmm.
You can't suspend belief that a man would have a cleanup crew on call, but you can't
believe that the dog spoke.
Yes. So that's what made me think, like, okay, she trying to be funny. Like, she can't be serious.
Oh my goodness, that's too hilarious.
Yes.
So when is your next book coming out? I know you said you're working on part 6.
Yes. I'm thinking like sometime in 2024. I'll be ready to drop
you
the
give
next
yourself
book.
some time.
Yes, yes. Because this last book that I just wrote just came out. The Detective and the Criminal.
Mm-hmm.
A Black Love Detective Story, book 5. That one just came out. And another thing, my other books that I've written, a lot of my books are connected to my Black Love series. So,
okay. So
I
a specific character who you'll focus on in another book?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And I've done that with several books. I'm trying to
Does
build out
Black
my
make an appearance in these books?
Yes, he does. Yes, yes. So I have the Dope Fiction series that focuses on the women.
Mm-hmm.
Dope Fiction Part 1, Alpha Female, and Dope Fiction Part 2, Sigma Female. So I have
Yeah.
those.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have Trigger Brown, a Black Love Detective story. Then I have Danielle Lovelace, Vigilante for Hire.
Mm.
And the 12 Months of Murder series. So if anybody really want to check me out and they want to read a quick, like a snippet of what I do, let's just check out the 12 Months of Murder, Introduction to Seduction. That's the first book in the series.
And I did put your website in the chat, www.crimefictionmedia.com.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, all of your books are listed there, and they can just click on it to order the book.
Yes.
Okay, and they can get a autographed copy if they order from your website.
They most definitely can. Yes. I was listening to some of your interview with the author that you had on before, and you were talking about the NBFF.
Yeah, National Black Book Festival.
Yes, I've been saying I was going to go to that for a decade now, and I still haven't. I know I still haven't gone. Do you enjoy yourself? Is it a nice turnout there?
Yeah, I would say there are a lot of authors there. I go there every year because I'm the official literary correspondent. So okay. I go there and I do interviews. I just kind of keep it hyped up on social media throughout the entire weekend. And there is a good turnout. And I will say, and this is something that I tell any author who's going to any event: do not go to any event, especially the National Black Book Festival, thinking that you don't have to tell people you're going to be there. Don't think that you don't have to advertise and that all you're going to do is just soak up the people who come. Because there are people who come specifically for certain authors. They're like, oh, so-and-so is going to be there? Okay, I'm going because I need to get such and such book, or I want to get my book signed by so-and-so. And so they're coming specifically for that author. Now, they may go around and see some of the other authors, but they're going specifically for that particular author. But what I found is there are some authors who will go there and they will sit at their table like this the whole time, looking mad, and wondering why nobody's coming up to their table. Mm-hmm. If you are not inviting, If you don't have an attractive table, you don't have an attractive demeanor. If you're sitting behind the table the entire time, you're not kind of standing up and inviting people over. I used to make eye contact. If I made eye contact with you, I'm calling you over to my table. You know, so there are certain things that you should do if you want to have a successful book signing at the festival. And I've just found that there are some people who will go and they'll be disappointed because they don't feel that they sold enough books. But then when you really start to peel back the onion peel and ask them, well, did you advertise that you were coming? No. And I was watching you. You stood behind the table the entire time. Did you actually get up and walk around and talk to the authors? Maybe give out some flyers? No, I didn't do that. Did you maybe even have a press release and send it ahead of time to the media to let them know that you were going to be there? No, I didn't do that either. Well, you can't get mad that you didn't have a successful book signing.
That's right.
Yeah, yep. So I think in BBF is all in what people make of it. If you go there and treat it as your special appearance, that you are the main author, always treat yourself like you're the main author. I think that you were going to be able to do very well at that event.
Yeah, I need to come at least once. Like every year, like for years, I finally stopped doing this. For about 5 or 6 years straight, I would send, I think it's like $50 or whatever to hold my table. And I still wouldn't send the rest of the money and go. I get an email every year from them every year. Are you coming again this year, Antwan? And I send my $50 and I still never send the rest of the money and go.
Away money, Antwan.
I know.
Well, I'm not sure. I know that the slots were filling up. I'm not sure if they're full yet. So you may want to check to see if it's full. And then you can also come out here to DC. I do my Black History Month event every February. So I'd love to have you come out here too.
Yeah, I would love to come out to DC. My son just moved to, I know it's not that close, but it's close enough. My son just moved to Philadelphia.
It's about 90 minutes from here. That's not that bad.
Oh, I thought it was further. I thought it was like 2 hours.
Oh, it's a 90-minute train ride.
Oh, I didn't think about the train. I just thought about driving.
No, it's a 90-minute train ride.
Okay, yeah. You say every February?
Yeah, every February is my Black History Month event. I'll send you the information because I'll be advertising soon. I'm just trying to put together my guest speaker. As soon as I get the guest speaker and I'm ready to announce, I'm gonna let y'all know, let the authors know.
Yeah, I'll definitely come out and support.
Okay.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you. I think this is the first time you and I have met. So I appreciated you accepting my invitation to come on the show, and I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's stay in touch with each other. I will be supporting the Black Love series. I'm gonna have to start from 1 and work my way up to 6. So I'm gonna need you to be done with 6.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, you keep doing what you're doing. Congratulations and all that you do. How many books did you say it's been? 18 books?
Yes. Books and short stories total.
That's wonderful. You keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you coming on the show. Keep writing, and I'm gonna see you back on Instagram.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
All right, there you have it, guys. This is another, I told you it was going to be another fun night in the Horizons Author Lounge. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be keeping the show on the Facebook and YouTube pages, as well as on LinkedIn. It'll be on LinkedIn as well. And the podcast is starting soon. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for your support. Let's make sure we keep the show growing so we can continue to support authors. That's what this is all about. I really enjoy doing this show. So that's all I have for tonight. We'll see you guys next week with 2 more exciting authors. Have a blessed night. Bye-bye.